My name is Eric Arter, and I'm a freaking superhero. Powers? Check. Costume? Check. Villains? Check, 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 check. Yeah, it's awesome. There's just one little problem. See, my powers, they kinda turn off anytime I, get turned on. I'm a teenager. It's a problem, but I'm working on it. Because nothing's gonna stop me from becoming epic.
Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. This is the campaign ending live stream for the Epic Kickstarter, issues 1 through 4. We have been rocking a Kickstarter all month long, and it wraps up tomorrow evening at midnight. And so I thought this would be a great time for us to jump on here and first of all, thank the backers for an amazing campaign. I thought it'd be an opportunity for us to, for anyone that hasn't checked it out yet, to remind them what's going on the Kickstarter, what's cool about it, what they can grab, answer any questions that might come through. And I think we've got a couple already, as well as give out some bonus prizes to backers that just to upgrade their pledges and do a little extra for them. So how's that sound to you for a thing today, my friend?
Yeah, sounds incredible, man. This is the first Kickstarter I've ever been a part of. I was pleasantly surprised by the reaction, how quickly we got funded, and then extending it out beyond. So it's pretty awesome. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny thing that, you know, as someone of a veteran of 34 campaigns, 33 campaigns now of like myself, you know, you sent me a message at like, I don't know, we were like 5 hours in or 8 hours in, and you're like, and we were, I don't know, 90% or 80% funded or something. And you're like, yeah, I was just worried that the pledges are just going to dry up right now. And you know, what if we don't get funded? And I'm like, man, like, the Kickstarter math is on our side, my friends. You don't have to worry about that. But I totally get it. You know, when you're not living the Kickstarter world, you're not used to how these campaigns go. You know, it can be a daunting thing. But
yeah, I was totally curious. You know, by nature, I'm a project manager and designer and things of that nature. So I love looking at data and numbers and understanding trends and trajectory and stuff like that. So having no clue what the expected, you know, just that the trajectory was going to be of this, you know, I thought, okay, is the line swell? Do you get, you know, 95% of your interested party happens almost immediately, and then it's a battle for the rest of the month to get that last, you know, percentage, or does it trickle in? So I was totally curious, being a newbie at this, of how it would go. So you know, in the end, it ended up being incredible. So thank you to the backers. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem at all. And you know, this has changed a little bit over time, and it's definitely we have seen, and I, you know, for those that maybe only know me from my comics publishing capacity, a lot of what I also do is work with creators on their launches. And so I get to see behind the scenes and under the hood of, you know, hundreds of launches every single year. And one thing that our community has been seeing more of is that there is a bigger push towards that surge at the beginning. Kickstarter has gotten really good, especially for veteran creators, in terms of getting their past, giving you tools and ways that without you even having to, you know, do anything, where they can get some of your past backers out, or at least let them know that the campaign is live. But as a result, that means that some of the backers who maybe in earlier years would have trickled in throughout or at the end are getting in earlier. And so people haven't been seeing the same massive surge at the end of campaigns that has happened in the past. And people have also been seeing like slower middle of the campaign growth versus what they've seen in other campaigns in the past. So I don't know. I've actually been pretty proud and pleased with how the Epic campaign has been very steady throughout. And so, you know, this campaign, and again, you know, I'm pretty good at having an idea about what this campaign, what campaigns will do, and where they're going to end up. But this one is definitely, doing as good as I had even hoped that it would do for a project that is unique in terms of this is a project that has existed for a while. It went away. It was dormant. It was, basically flatlined. And through, in large part, your efforts, we brought it back. And now, with the energy and enthusiasm of a renewed fan base, man, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. I want to just highlight a few things on the Kickstarter just before we answer some questions and do some other things. But before I do that, I did want to just put out this little reminder and announcement that we will be doing a Epic Backers bonus draw before the end of this broadcast. So if you happen to be tuning in live, or if you catch the replay before the campaign ends at Saturday, November 30th at midnight, you definitely want to come in and become a backer. But if you are able to jump in and become a backer, we're at 355, 354 as of right now. If you're able to become a backer before we do our draw, hey, you'll be eligible to get a pledge upgrade, which should be nice and valuable for you. So I'm going to encourage people to jump in for that. But let's take a quick look at what we have on the page and what's available, and what this campaign is all about and what it's for. And so what we're offering here is first and foremost to release the first new issue of Epic in years. Epic was a series that first launched on Kickstarter and then continued in the direct market. 4 total issues were published thus far. There was a pilot issue, which was first released on Kickstarter as Epic Pilot #1, and then we decided when we were going to go into the direct market, let's take that pilot issue and give it away as Epic 0 in a special new printing for Free Comic Book Day. And so that's why, even though 4 published issues are out previously, the issue that we're launching is issue 4, and that's because there was a pilot issue and then an Epic sort of ongoing numbers 1, 2, and 3 previously existed. And so this issue picks right up where that last issue, which you'll see right here, that was the last issue of Epic that was released, picks up right where that one left off. And so this is a campaign for the new issue, which is drawn entirely by Matt, who's the original Epic co-creator. And it is picks up right where we left off with issue number 3. But there's also opportunities for you to catch up on the entire Epic series. We had a set number, about 160 total sets of the issues of the previously published issues. I believe those have almost all sold out. However, we've decided, because of the success of this campaign, we're going to have a new Epic print catch-up trade volume option. And so for just $39, you can get a brand new, with a brand new cover by Matt, trade collection that it collects all previously published Epic issues. And you can also get the new issue number 4. And our issue number 4 has also come with a campaign exclusive trading card, metal trading card, I should say. So you can get all caught up with a $39 pledge, or you can just pick up with the new issue for just $15. There's also digital catch-up tiers and digital rewards available, and a whole lot of good stuff there. But yeah, Matt, anything else you want to call people's attention to on the Kickstarter that you think is particularly fun or cool?
Oh, wow. Particularly fun or cool. I love the idea that we know when we created the original series, long ago, and then a tremendous artist came in, FICO Asio, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He came in and did the first 3 issues, and tremendous job. Love his energy and his artwork. Tremendous artist. And then to pick up and be energized by that and try to evolve on that was a great challenge and pretty exciting to continue off the story and to continue it further, even beyond issue 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to give a big shout out to FICO, who's, art you're going to see all over the catch up tiers and all over the Kickstarter page as well. Just did a tremendous job. He's someone who, when I was working with him, I'm like, wow, this guy is going to be drawing for Marvels and DCs and all the big guys eventually. And he has gone on and done that. I believe he's working on a He-Man book right now, which looks phenomenal. He's done a ton of stuff for IDW and worked on the Marvel Spider-Man stuff. But he brought a ton of enthusiasm and just passion to the project, and really helped just establish a really strong footing for the what like an ongoing sort of serialized version of this thing really could and should be, and also did an amazing cover for the fourth issue. And also did a few layouts for some initial pages of the fourth issue. One of the things I've talked about recently was just how, one of my big regrets was that this project had to end way back when it did. And a large part that it had to end is that, at that time, Kickstarter really wasn't, people weren't using it to serialize books. They were maybe using it to do collected editions or reprints, or they were using it to launch new series. But in terms of like, hey, every 3 months or 2 months or 5 months, put out the new issue via Kickstarter, that really just wasn't done. And even though I sort of eat this stuff and live and breathe this stuff, like it's only really been in the last 5 to 7 years that people really have embraced the serialization model on Kickstarter. And unfortunately, if you compare that to what happens in the direct market, where your first issue might launch with a bang, but every issue you're seeing a diminishing order numbers, it became really just like the math just simply wouldn't work. And to put this book out depending primarily on the direct market, and so it went away. But I've long said that if I could redo it, if I could go back in a time machine and do it again, I probably the serialization model would have been what to go with from the very beginning. And who knows, could be on issue 50, 70 by now. But you can't go back. You don't get that second chance. But things happen for a reason, and now we're back. And I know you're kind of in a different space in your life right now, where you're fired up about cranking out pages and cranking out comics again.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those important topics I'd love to hear you go into a little bit about. It is like, when we first started working together over a decade ago, we both had big dreams, big aspirations, but not the sort of experience or the understanding of what goes into like an ongoing superhero book. And then also trying to do that while we're trying to figure out this young family thing. It was something. So, but what are some of your thoughts, and how are you thinking about, where this came from and where you are now?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's an interesting situation, right? So when we originally started this, I was trying to think, we connected on digital webbing, if I remember correctly. Is that when we first started talking to each other?
So my recollection is that, or where I first really became aware of your work was the awesome stuff that you were doing in the 30 characters challenge that I came up with.
Yeah.
For those who don't, I know there are ComixTribe people that are on my email list that are like got on from that challenge, and they're still on. But that was a challenge that I put out like to the internet in like 2006 or something, where I was just like, or maybe 2000. Maybe 2010. I don't remember exactly how long ago that was, but it was basically, hey, I'm going to challenge myself to create 30 characters in 30 days. And I created a little blog site for it and opened it up to other creators to join. And the first year I did it, like I think 25 creators did it. And within 3 years, there were over 1,000 that were signing up for this like annual challenge. And you were one of the artists that jumped in one year, and your style and the characters that you were creating the energy that you were bringing to it. It just was like, man, that's a really fun art style this guy has, and these characters designs are great. And and you were really great at like drawing characters that like felt like they were already in a universe and just waiting for stories to be told with them. And so yeah, that's what I remember. But then again, we're getting up there. We're getting up there, Matt, in our old age here. So
we're not spring chickens anymore. So no, that's as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, you are definitely right. That characters challenge was pretty cool. And what I love about it is a lot of the original characters that were scripted back then still live today in the book. Right? They carry through a lot of it. And it was an interesting time, right? Like back when we first started this, I had young children. I was working a great job that I loved, but I was putting a tremendous amount of hours in. And as a guy that was foolhardy and wanted to get into this, you put your time and effort, and then you start getting into sequentials. You start thinking through storytelling and blocking and just all the legwork it takes to actually, try to craft something into a visual, consumable story. It took a lot of time, right? So I'd get home late in the evenings, have dinner, catch up with the family, and then go sit at the drawing table, or I think at that time I still had a digital screen that I was drawing on. But and then next thing you know, it's 2 a.m, and I have to get some sleep, and then you get through that repetitive state over a couple months, and boy, was it taking its toll at the time on me, and so I had to take a break from it because priorities and things of that nature of where I wanted to put my time, at that time was with my family commitments. And obviously I had a great job in that I was with that company for up until like just 5 years ago. So I was there well over a decade and doing a lot of creative, high-end creative activations for large brands and things of that nature. So I loved the job. So unfortunately that meant I couldn't keep going with the sequential side of my comic book art. Yeah. And so once that, came to fruition, you and FICO took the baton and kept it going. But even between then, I still always drew. I scribbled constantly. I tried to evolve. I tried to study. And over the last, I would say 5-ish years, I've been like a student. I've been trying to just devour and consume other people's styles. And it's not even necessarily like the finishing rendering styles, whether there's cross hatching or this or that. It's more so of like spot blacks and camera angles and page layouts and things of that nature. And so what I find interesting is like that original work that we did long ago. It's like, okay, that's cool, but I'm almost like I'm a much better artist today than I was then, obviously, right, because of time and practice. So it feels great to dive back into this world and do more things. And even with what I produced in 4, like I already feel like I'm a better artist than what I was when we were producing 4. So I look forward to what we can do in 5 and in 6. And when you talk about energy and things of that nature, man, I grew up an Image kid, in the 90s, late 90s, obviously comic books all the way through the 80s and 90s, but really just gravitate towards, everything Jim Lee was doing. J. Scott Campbell, Art Adams is one of my favorites. Michael Golden back then, even though he's doing Marvel and DC work, he was doing stuff way differently than your Neil Adams or your George Perez, foundational artist of that era. And boy, I ate it like it was candy. And because it was eye candy at that point in time. And so I still hold that dear. I still hold that to my heart still to this day, and love to try to bring that Image energy, is what I call it, to what we're doing here with our superhero book.
Yeah, and I think we definitely got on like from our first creative conversations, as also a kid who grew up on the Marvel and DC stuff, but fell in love with the industry and all of a sudden was like, wait a minute, I can make this stuff as a result of like the Image revolution and just being inspired by people going out and creating a new universe from whole cloth. And so I think that's something that every every creator, probably has a superhero universe in them, or the desire to at some point. And but it's been really fun to build this one with you, and I'm excited. And in diving back into this world of Epic, and I've been rereading and poring over old notes and dusting off old stuff and remixing and tossing stuff out and coming at it from a perspective of older, maybe slightly wiser, if not slower perspective. But it's just exciting. Like, so many threads were already weaved into this, and we had so many things just like in the hopper as ideas to get to eventually, or to play with, that it's just exciting to be diving back into it. Want to call out some of for the new issue. Obviously, we have FICO, who is the cover artist of issue of the last couple of issues, or the set of issues. He's back on a cover for this one, and I did sort of contact FICO not too long ago, just to let him know our plans to revive this. He was very excited to hear that, and said he's definitely down for future covers as well. So
yes.
hoping to see more FICO Epic art as well. Matt has this awesome variant cover that is Epic for or based on and modeled off of Incredible Hulk 181, the classic homage cover. It's got Epic, Roid Rage, and Cali Girl on it, so that's a lot of fun. I also have a great cover from Alex Cormack, who you all know from Sync. And in case you're wondering, ComixTribe fans out there, and we did see a few comments. One from The Mad Respect. He said, looking forward to another ComixTribe banger. It was also nice to see the upcoming Sync Kickstarter teaser. Thanks. Yeah, Sync will be hot on the heels of Epic, and will probably be our last Kickstarter launch for ComixTribe for 2023. So keep eyes peeled for more stuff from Alex and John Lees. But we've tapped Alex for this awesome cover, and then we're also offering up a metal version of FICO's cover as one of our other cover options for the new this new issue here. So yeah, also want to highlight this comment from Joe Mulvey. Our pal Joel Mulvey from Wailing Blade and Happy Hill, among other ComixTribe books, has an epic sketch for you two handsome fellas. Joe told me he was working on something epic related, and so hopefully we'll be able to share that. And who knows, find a way to get it into as a pinup or something for the new book. We'll do something with it. Maybe even a little gift for or a prize for the Comics Launch faithful. But yeah, awesome to hear that, Joe. And I know Joe has a number of new projects that he's been working on in the lab that I'm excited to see come out in the near future.
Yeah, I didn't see that comment from Joe yet, so that's a huge, pleasant surprise to see that, because I love Mulvey's work. I love his artwork and his energy, what he puts in. And man, he's active on socials about all of his artwork, and it's just has a ton of energy. So that dude loves comic books. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a one of a kind, that Mr. Mulvey, and it's always it's always fun to see what he comes up with, and he's one of the great hangs in all of comics is Mr. Joseph Mulvey. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm also curious, like, for those interested in process and stuff, what's your sort of work and workflow right now? And I also know that you did you've been working on a few of the sketch covers, and as someone who is primarily digital, getting back into like the pencil and paper analog drawing is a little bit of a different process for you. But what are your go-to tools, and how's your workflow been with working on new Epic stuff?
Yeah, sure. So, growing up a graphic designer, I've always been used to just digital tools. Graduated art school, going straight into graphic design, and so I've always been comfortable on a computer. So even back, a decade ago, when Sketchbook Pro was a big desktop application, the Wacom Cintiqs was a thing. I invested in one of those and just loved it, and then just continued on with that tradition. So I've been primarily digital. So all of four has been created digitally. So right now I still use Clip Studio Pro as my tool on the desktop. Rather than going from Wacom, I went to a Huion, their 4K display. Highly recommend it. It's actually been a great workhorse for a fraction of the Wacom price. I know Wacom's they're the gold standard in the industry for these tools, but the Huion's been pretty dependable at a reasonable price. So that's been cool. Yeah, so digital all the way, and what I love about it is just freedom to like scribble, reduce a layer, the transparency, the opacity on a layer, create a new layer on top of it, scribble, drop that opacity. Like you can just do that over and over and over and work stuff. Obviously, you can lasso, move, mold, push things around to your heart's content. I honestly don't try to do that all that often. When I talked about studying other artists, I feel I can easily pick up a digital artist versus a traditional, just based on the different types of brushes applied. And take Jorge Jimenez, for example, right, and his Batman work. I love looking at it, but you can tell that dude's a digital artist just based on how he cuts stuff out. And I try not to, like, that's when I want to get deeper into the different types of brushes available for digital art, but I haven't got there yet. So I still just use literally black, white, and the G Pen brush in Clip Studio Pro. So I am straight everything by hand for the most part, without doing, maybe there's a perspective tool or things like that. But I am trying to challenge myself to go back to doing more traditional work. Yeah. You can see the drawing table behind me here. I bought myself some markers, like a marker set. Like, as we grow and have more opportunity to do some original artwork, in the convention scene or something like that, I want to try to get more comfortable with it. What I love about the digital work is it's like treadmill running for marathon runners, and then doing traditional work is like the race. Right, you have to commit to it,
Yeah.
And so I like digital that it gets you the reps in, lets you experiment and try a lot of different things out, just as far as your style or your approach, or just even different poses, positions, perspectives. And then when it comes to doing it traditionally, you have a bit more confidence. Now, obviously, you don't have the luxury of hitting undo. I don't know how many times I'll be drawing something small and I want to zoom in on it, but obviously I can't. So I chuckle about that, which I have actually taken a magnifying glass, over a small bit and trying to get that, try to emulate that. Because that is it's the best thing and the worst thing about digital art is you can zoom in on something and detail it to no end, but will anybody see the value of that detail? If it's a small background of a panel, I still struggle with that because I try to make any ounce of my work, any corner of the work, as best as it can be. So
yeah. It's there's a lot of advantages to working with digital and also working with artists who are digital, because when you need to make small tweaks that would be big tweaks if you had to redo pages entirely or things like that, it's a little bit easier to ask for them. Kind of an embarrassing thing for me, and we both joked about it a little bit, is that in getting back into this new issue for something that's been aside, like sometimes stuff that like probably would have seemed obvious had you gone from issue to issue to issue, right, one after another, and not gotten back into it. We both chuckled that like we got all the way through the book, reviewed it multiple times, did all sorts of things, and we realized like just the other day that Epic's supposed to be wearing red gloves. And he has long red gloves, and we're like, how do we both miss that as this picks up right from left off, and you're like, yeah, that's how I originally designed them. I don't even know, but this is the kind of thing where all right, I'm digital. You're like on it. We're putting gloves. You jump back into your files. You made a couple quick edits, added those. We sent those layers over to our awesome new color artist who we're collaborating with for the first time on this project, Maya Opacic. She is and she was gracious enough to say, okay, we'll throw some gloves on them, even though we didn't get it to her right the first time. And so that's another one of those like advantages of working digital is like when we're dusting off the cobwebs and remembering how everything works here. You have the advantage to be able to do that. But
yeah, before I get to this comment, Maya's doing a fantastic job coloring the book. Her artistic style of the color palette that she's applying, this is based out of Miami, and so it's very vibrant with the colors.
Yep.
Also vibing off of what FICO did previously. FICO is a unicorn of unicorns because if I remember correctly, I think he was even back then, like he pencil inks and colors a lot of his own work, and it's all at a ridiculously high level. So for Maya to then vibe off of that and put her own spin, her own stamp on the characters and the scene and the world is pretty cool to see. So I look forward to continuing that, watching that evolve as we do more issues here in the short term. But the other thing that we were talking about, the digital portion of that on that group trade cover, I had them all worked out. I had the layout put in there. I was trying to say like how many people do we want to put in, and you'd hit me up with like, hey, I want to put Beanie on there. And I was like, oh no, that's going to be where do I put him? What does he look like? What's his superhero alter ego look like? All that stuff. And so I just on the fly just started scribbling out some stuff with him. He's the tech guy. He's the tech sidekick to Epic. And how do you put him in a hero's world by, not making him a total superhero? So, and to move him in and then push people around. And the one thing I do is I will put each either layer, whether it's foreground, middle ground, or background, on a different layer, or lots of times I'll put characters in their own folders in Clip Studio, right? So each character has multiple layers within it, and so I can just grab the whole entire folder and move them around or do whatever I need to do. So it was a matter of like, okay, how do I keep this composition? Because I like what I got going on here, but we need to add Beanie in here. And so I worked that into does that book? Okay, yeah, that book's got him in. That version's got him in on it. So so it was one of those. That was a challenge but again, if that was traditional, that would have been an extremely hard add. But since it was digital, I was able to work that out over a day of pushing people around and filling in where he, erasing and filling in where he got added. So that was a pretty cool experiment to go through.
Yeah, and in a Kickstarter world where so much of where there's a big market for, yes, obviously the comics, but there's also markets for stickers and for bookmarks and for we're looking at potentially, if we hit 15K, doing a standee, an acrylic standee, and just other ways. I've done fridge magnets and all sorts of other, enamel pins, all sorts of stuff. And when that art is on its own layer and separated and easily separatable, it makes it a lot easier to just, hey, all right, you need some stickers. Boom, let's pull these characters from the best panels in our page and things like that. So
pretty convenient.
Definitely helps. So we had a question come in, and so it'll be good to clarify this one from Dragon Ball 3166 says, is issue 4 the last of the series, or do you plan to continue and make more books after this issue? No. So the exciting thing is that this is the return, but not the finale. And I know that Matt is very excited to be pumping out lots more Epic over the next several years. So this you will find Epic 4 completes the initial Roid Rage challenge, but as all of the great books from that I remember growing up, if you're not leaving them with a cliffhanger, you're doing it wrong, right? So we try to do that, and this is very much like I think the book feels fresh and it feels even, coming back to it, I think it feels fresh and like not necessarily like a throwback book in a lot of ways, but I also feel like some of the older Spider-Man storytelling where the next 5 villains are gradually interspersed, and the next 5 story arcs and conflicts are peppered throughout, even as you have one main narrative that might take a couple issues. And that's really how I see how I'm seeing this this series kind of play out, where we're and you'll see, like in the pilot issue, I sort of set a epic conclude, or epic confrontation where it begins with every single one of Epic's supervillains that he interacts with in the first year of being a hero sort of confront him to take him down once and for all. And so that's sort of like a point where we're working towards. But and part of that was like, hey man, this is the first book, first issue. I don't know if we'll get another one. We've got all these ideas. Let's get them out there. Let's not save any gunpowder. We can't afford to slow walk it. Let's start with a bang. But now with the ongoing, it's an opportunity to sort of tell stories with all these characters and weave them in as we go. But and I don't know, like when you think going forward, like what kind of stuff are you excited to draw? What gets you excited about sitting down at the drawing table? And share some of your sensibilities about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, going back to that image era, image energy comments earlier, like superheroes, capes, people punching, muscles, stuff, destruction. I want to amp up energy. I always enjoy being able to. One of the challenges of actually creating a feel of movement in a static image, right? I think it's a big challenge. I think some artists do it fantastically. Daniel Warren Johnson is like the master of that. Of just his pages look like they're moving all the time. So I want to try to bring that energy and keep evolving that. So look forward to that. As an artist, like you always growing up drawing the superheroes and the capes and stuff like that. So the anatomies of those types of characters are become ingrained, become literally muscle memory to what you're developing. So I look forward to like working on my backgrounds, working on my female characters, even the female hair and stuff like that, because I'm a little bit I'm inconsistent in some areas and stuff like that. So I look forward to just try to keep evolving all of just even the non-obvious stuff of trying to really create a quality book, because that's what as we go on. When I look at that first stuff we put out, it's like, okay, it was fine for the time, but when I look back at it, it's like, okay, I can bring better to the table, and I look forward to making it as a most quality book that it can sit with any other product in the market, and feel very confident that it's at a level where it needs to be. So yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I found myself like going back and it's funny because the artist thing is that you always find yourself like nitpicking and and like, oh, I could do this so much better. Oh, I want to redo this. I want to do this. Like, but I've often found like sometimes when I go long enough away from my own work and I come back to it, like I'm like, oh, this is better than I thought it was going to be. Or oh, that was a funny joke. Like maybe I'm cracking myself up. And I obviously, my wife always, gives me the side eye for making stupid jokes and then laughing at them. But you know what? And the thing that I found that was just really exciting is how many open threads were hinted at, teased at, and are story elements that we can unpack, and like even just like yesterday, I shot you a comment about something that happens in issue 3 to, what for, the planning purposes, like this was a character that was kind of a a throwaway character as a means to an ends to another character's story, but he had a little bit of personality, and I'm like, wait a minute, this happened. What if? And
Right.
that's how so many good, ideas go. What if there's more there? And you're like, yeah, sure. And a couple hours later, you shoot me a few concept sketches, and it's like, all right, this maybe not all the way there, but where are we gonna go? And now here we are, right back in the collaborative creative process. That's the best thing about making comics, right?
Yeah, man. There's nothing I enjoy more from you just throwing a, hey, what if?
Yeah,
And I'm like, all right, yeah, let's try that out, right? And so you just
yeah,
start scribbling, and all right, I feel like this is at a good point for someone to, just to throw at the world and see what happens. So I love sending it back to you and saying, like, hey, just need your thoughts on this. And just even the response that you had on, where I was apprehensive about, like, okay, I like this, what I did with this character, and there's some concerns I have that this maybe references something that it shouldn't, or maybe some other character traits from a different character, and just the quick collaboration of like, hey, add this, try this, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna look forward to doing that tonight. So yeah, it's good stuff.
yeah, yeah. And it's also been fun to like go back at this. And this was a concept that, what's fun about it is like this epic was a concept that I came up with the specific intention of, hey, I got to find something cool that I think, based on the limited information I have about this Matt Zolman guy out in Ohio somewhere, that I've only met online and just been admiring his artwork. I got to come up with a concept that would be right for him and would appeal to him, and he'd be excited to maybe say yes, and draw it. And so that's what Epic was from the very beginning. But we're like, I'm in a different place in my life in terms of where I was when the idea first hatched and I first pitched it to you, and the world is in a different place. And it's funny, like, so the volume 1 trade, pulling that together, and I'm going through the first issues, just looking for any inconsistencies, the occasional like maybe a typo that might have made it through the original publishing process, or just anything that, was there anything that we got wrong or anything we want to change? And like the one thing that I'm like, oh, damn you, Elon. I had like two Twitter references in there, and I'm like, do I really need to go and change the word tweet now, just so that it doesn't seem instantly recognizably, oh, we're not calling it Twitter anymore? Like, and so like, yeah, there is some stuff that updates, just like little stuff like that, or technology that moves on a little bit, or things like that. But then also, like, I think one of the original, like the epic pitch, kid loses powers, and was always like, hey, this kid loses his powers around hot chicks, sort of like the analogy that of a high school boy, that his weakness is girls, like that. It's kind of universal and everything. But we're also sort of in this era where focusing, like having it be having the focus of the weakness be hot women, like, probably is not quite as just where we are, but it doesn't have to be for this pitch to still work. And
Right.
so, like, in like language, I'm trying to like put it more towards like, it's about what he's attracted to, and it's the concept of attraction and arousal, and how you like how those bubbling puberty feelings come up and can either propel us or absolutely ruin, or set us off in the wrong directions. So, like, trying to take a little bit more of a, I don't know, inclusive approach to that, and also that concept, and also being a little bit more heady about, like, I mean, even like, if I've done research on the psychology and physiology of attraction and arousal and all of these other concepts that, like, there's actually been tremendous research, even in the past like decades since this has come up, about like how the weird human brain works and everything else. So I'm trying to bring more of that to that, with while at the same time giving Matt plenty of superheroes punching and dynamic stuff to draw.
Yeah,
So that's kind of the puzzle and challenge, you know?
Yeah, man, I look forward to seeing how you literally attack that, because to your point, right? The fidelity and the sensitivities around how you visually and audibly describe that, and him being in Miami and in high school and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
the scenarios are plenty for you to do some storytelling there. So I look forward to seeing how we navigate that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing, and someone left a comment on one of our Facebook ads where they're like, I got 3 ideas for you. One, offer, his first idea was offer blank sketch covers. And I'm like, actually, Matt is available to commission. He'll do an artist edition for you for the first issue. We still got a few of those left over. So we did that. Then his second suggestion was to do a homage cover of classic Marvel covers. And I'm like, well, actually, if you go to the Kickstarter page, you'll see we have one of those. And then his third was, hey, do some naughty nude covers. And because those do really well on Kickstarter. And I'm like, dude, obviously they do. Both Matt and I are happily married men and don't want to get smacked and put out on the couch by trading in that. And like, while it is true that like, you could see the, hard R version of Epic being out there and trading on that. And, unfortunately, or for just the way the world works, could that make an extra $20,000, $30,000 on these campaigns? Probably, if we went down that route. But this was always intended to be the kind of book that I'd have no problem like handing to a 12-year-old kid, or handing or having a even a younger kid look over it. Definitely wanted it to be in the inclusive Marvel, like no harder than something that you get from a Marvel universe thing, something that you could see on TV, but still would be appreciated by people that are old school Image fans like you and I.
Yeah, it's one of those things that there are some tactics on Kickstarter that you see are quite successful, and but then there's also staying true to your audience and what you want to make out of your book. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and no shade on people that are playing that game and having success with it, and I've had plenty of them on my podcast, and I'm definitely a believer that. There's a lid for every pot. There's a comic for every fan, and you'll find that on Kickstarter, which is good. And the good news is with this sort of comeback campaign, it's enough. It's enough to keep this thing going and burning bright and moving forward. So we're still incredibly grateful for all of the backers that have helped do that for us. So with that, I want to actually pull a few numbers. What I'm going the plan here is that I am going to use a random number generator and grab some backer bonuses. And so the way this will work is if every backer on Kickstarter gets a unique number, and so I'm going to pick 5 numbers, and if it's a digital backer, you're going to get a digital bonus upgrade that is going to include a bunch of ComixTribe graphic novels in digital format. And if you are a physical backer, you'll get that, and you'll get a rare ComixTribe variant of some sort that we will pull. Who knows? It could be Epic related. It could be one of our other covers for one of our other series. It'll be something cool. And so I'm going to pull 5 names. I did see we did just get our latest backer. I'll have to shout out our latest backer. And so I'm going to update that because we just had a backer come in. Dwayne Johnson. I don't believe it was The Rock, but if it
I'll imagine
was,
it is.
if it was, that's an awesome. But even if it's not, it's still awesome. Thank you, Dwayne, for jumping in as backer 370. So I'm gonna hook up our random number generator here, and just using Google here. So I'm gonna pick 5 numbers. All right, first number will be 76. Next will be 310, 364, 163, and the last one will be 105. All right, so tune in to the Kickstarter to figure out which backers are associated with those numbers. We will let you know as I will match them up, but I'm not going to do that while we're here live because I don't want to reveal any backer information about what they pledged or email addresses or account numbers or any of that stuff. But before we wrap up with this one, Matt, anything else you want to share with the audience, or just stuff you're thinking about when it comes to making comics, creating comics, being an artist, doing the thing?
Doing the thing. No, I just the whole experience has been great. Like you said, this is my first experience with Kickstarter. Always been a fan over the last few years. I've backed a few key campaigns from different artists, different quality. I love art, and so if there's something that comic art, if you will, if there's a book that has high-end comic art, there's a good chance I'm going to back it. So it feels great to see the rest of the community and others that have come into the community to back our campaign and our project, resurrecting this, from long ago and putting some new fire and new life back to it. And I look forward to continuing on, man. I can't wait to do, 5, 6 and beyond, because we got plans with those. And yeah, just thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for, being the driving force for bringing this back. As someone that wears a lot of hats these days, and not just outside, but publishing and leading the comics launch community, leading ComixTribe. We've got a lot of projects that we published in the past, a lot of the projects that are going forward. It's always been easy for me these last couple of years to put like my own creative projects, passion projects like Epic, those become the last thing that get any attention. And so, the opportunity to have an artist, partner, collaborator that's as excited about working on this and is like, helping be the driving force towards, hey, let's make more of this. Let's get more of this out into the world. Like that becomes, an impossible thing to say no to when, even when you're someone that feels stretched, feels like there's a lot on his plate. It's like, no, wait a minute. Because I'll be honest, like in jumping back and writing these epic scripts, and again, I was able to experience some of that joy that, I've said, writing this thing, just like, sitting there by myself for a while, like giggling to myself as I'm writing in these scripts, or, doodling on the sideline. Oh, it's going to be really cool when I send this over and see, an artist really, really, take this concept and run with it. It's been, pure joy and pure bliss. And so, anytime you can get more of that in your life is an opportunity you got to jump at. So
yeah, man, back at you. And I know you are a busy man, obviously, with the comics launch community and all the things that you invest in. I was at the Cincinnati Comic Expo this past weekend, and every time I'd bring up your name, there's quite a few people like, oh, the Kickstarter guy. I was like, yeah, that's him.
That's
He's like,
him.
No kidding. That's who you're working with. I'm like, yep. So it's just funny how, just bringing up your name amongst the comics community in person, drummed that up pretty quickly. So yeah, man, I'm super happy that you're able to sharpen that pencil and get that side of your creative energy and spirit back into action. So and can't wait to continue it.
Absolutely. Myself as well. All right. So we still got some work to do. We got 33 hours to go for the Epic campaign. You can get it at epic.comixtribe.com or just go over to Kickstarter and look for Awesome Comics. It'll jump out at you. And we do have a couple of stretch goals still left to unlock. 14K. This is a big one. All physical backers will get a Daddy Longlegs metal card added to their pledge, and so that's one that I want to highlight out. We're less than $800 away from unlocking that for everybody. So if you are one of those sort of last minute campaign backers, know that your pledge at this moment actually will have some impact for most of the backers. And then, we also have something at 15K as well. So hoping to see what we can do in the next 33 hours. But until then, on behalf of myself, Tyler James, Matt, we just want to say thanks to all the backers. Thanks to the ComixTribe heads out there. And thanks to the people at Kickstarter for doing what they do so that we can do what we do. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.